Washington mornings on the Mall. And AM 630.
737 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Coming up at 8:05, we'll talk to Congressman Paul Gosar, Republican of Arizona. He was there at that IRS hearing yesterday when Lois Lerner took the fifth. And then at 8:35, I can't wait. Donald Rumsfeld will join us right here on WMAL. Brian Wilson alongside Larry O'Connor.
I plead the fifth.
In addition, members of this committee have accused me of providing false information when I responded to questions about the IRS processing of applications for tax exemptions.
I plead the fifth.
All right, joining us now, Stuart Varney. He's the host of Varney and Company, Fox Business Network, weekdays at 9:20 in the morning. Well, Stuart Varney, we had the spectacle of Lois Lerner, the person who heads up that division that gives screening to nonprofit organizations. She took the fifth in front of the committee. What message does that send to the American people?
Well, it's a message of contempt for the American people, but there's an addition to that story that's taking place right now. According to our own Judge Andrew Napolitano, Lois Lerner walked away from her rights not to answer questions when she made that opening statement. In other words, she can now be compelled to testify, compelled to answer questions. And if she still refuses, she will be held in contempt of Congress. And I presume that means led away in handcuffs. I don't know that for a fact, but she can now be compelled to answer those questions, which breaks open the whole IRS story, in my opinion.
Well, Stuart Varney, pivoting away from the House for a moment and going to the White House, we're now learning that the President's White House counsel and many people in the communications arm of the White House, they huddled about this story. They knew about this story. They had meetings to discuss how they're going to spin and communicate this story. Not one of them, from the Chief of Staff to the White House counsel, these are all very senior advisors, all of them thought that it was best not to tell the President. Is he being well served by his senior advisors?
No, I think Lois Lerner's silence and the silence of senior advisors and their statements that they did not pass along anything at all to the President, I don't think the man is well served. I really don't. In fact, I detect a growing suspicion, indeed almost a certainty on the part of American voters, that last year's election, the government used the machinery of government, in particular the all-powerful IRS, to affect the election, to suppress the president's political opponents and support his supporters. That is the growing suspicion here. That's why this is such an important development and such an important scandal.
By the way, some of the advisors that were brought in to discuss how they should handle this IRS matter include Stephanie Cutter, Robert Gibbs, Anita Dunn, Paul Begala, Mike McCurry. All of these people, as far as I'm aware, are not currently White House employees, and therefore they could be compelled to testify.
Oh, I think they should compel everybody. Get them all up there. Raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth. And get them up there.
Well,
look, if the senior people of the IRS display such contempt for Congress and the American people, all right, spread the net. Get everybody up there. What do you know? What happened? Tell me. Who told you to do this? Why can't you expend the net? Why not?
Well, do you have another question on this? Because I want to turn to another issue, and that is what's going on right now on Wall Street. Because we've heard testimony that suggests that maybe the stimulus is going to slow down. The Dow took an 80-point tumble. The Nikkei's in trouble for other reasons. It looks like it might not be a very good day on Wall Street.
Yeah, we're looking at a maybe 100-point drop for the Dow when it opens up this morning. That's a big drop, but it's not quite the panic selling that we saw in Japan overnight. Yesterday, Ben Bernanke said that this idea of how much they're going to print and when they're going to stop, that whole thing would be discussed at future meetings. In other words, putting on the brakes is on the table. When he said that, the market started to fall. We went from a plus 150 to a minus 80 at the close. That means the slightest hint that Ben is going to pull back from printing $85 billion a month, that hits the stock market. Now, today, if a Fed governor comes out and says, no, you misread what Ben had to say, we're going to keep on printing for the foreseeable future. If such an event occurred, market goes right back up again. But in the absence of that reassurance, this market falls.
And certainly that is affecting the economy and will continue to affect the economy. Another thing that's affecting the economy is the congressional inaction over a budget and the fact that the Senate and the House can't agree. We had the Senate have a budget that was just blew deficits through the roof. We had the House come up with a budget that balanced. On the floor of the Senate yesterday, John McCain expressed real concern that some of the senators were blocking a conference committee that would get the two houses together to come up with a budget. He said, it sounds like you're not even trusting the Republicans. And one of your favorite senators, Ted Cruz, he took to the floor and said this.
Let me be clear, I don't trust the Republicans.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for him to say?
It's fascinating. That's what it is. Surely there is a split between the old guard Republicans, led by John McCain, and the new guard, Rand Paul, and the gentleman from Texas.
Yeah,
there is a split, quite obviously. But there's another factor. Let's go back to the IRS scandal. The president is losing the political support of Democrats. It's melting away. It's not gone entirely, but it's melting away. He desperately needs full throttle political support from Democrats in the House and especially the Senate to push through any parts of his agenda, especially the use of the IRS as the police force to check Obamacare's implementation. He needs that support, and it's slipping away. That's why the IRS scandal comes right round full circle and affects the whole agenda going forward and the economy.
All right, so I see that one of these numbers that the Justice Department was looking at was in the Fox Business Network. Stuart, you worried?
I am a conservative. I'd like to stay out of the public eye. Thank you very much, and please stay out of my emails. That's all I got to say.
Make sure you move the flower pot to the other side of the door when James Rosen comes by. All right.
No, let's not indulge in too many conspiracies.
No. Listen, thank you very much, Stuart. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen.